smoke bomb India's parliament and Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. By sheltering India's enemies, war criminals, Nazis and terrorists, countries like the USA and Canada have demonstrated their true character in front of the whole world. Anyway, Western colonial criminal states are not likely to be genuine well-wishers of countries that were formerly colonized. But then, why is China, a country that has itself experienced colonial brutality, reacting to the India versus Pannun situation this way? As reported by the CNN, the United States has accused an Indian government official of being involved in a conspiracy to kill an American citizen on its home soil. But who is this so-called American citizen? Well, his name is Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, and as described here, he is a wanted man in India, considered by the government there as a terrorist and national security threat. And yes, instead of handing him over to India, the USA seems to be interested in protecting him. Pannun is the same man who warned Sikhs not to fly Air India, citing danger to their lives. He is the same man who vowed to shake the very foundation of the Indian parliament, a serious threat that many in India took very seriously. So, on December 13, 2023, when two unidentified men stormed the lower house of India's parliament and the so-called smoke bomb or the yellow-colored smoke canister was released, almost instantly, the Indian media asked if it was the Khalistani terrorist Pannun behind the security breach in parliament. Behind the Khalistan movement, Pakistan's nefarious agenda is well known. But what not many people fully understand is China's position regarding Khalistan and Pannun. A Chinese state-affiliated media outlet, which is well known for its anti-India propaganda, mentions that in order to woo India against China, Western media often refer to India as the largest democracy in Asia. The article in the Global Times mentions that Western elites are well aware of the huge differences between India's so-called democracy and their own democracy. The USA's praise for India's so-called democracy is mainly driven by geopolitical interests, hoping to include India in their anti-China alliance to achieve US strategic goals in the Indo-Pacific region. According to Professor Longjing Chun, if Sikh separatists from Western countries become increasingly active, conflicts regarding ethnic and religious values between the US and India may occur frequently in the future. So it seems that deep down China knows that a solid partnership between India and the USA can destroy China's global ambitions, and quite obviously, China is quietly hoping that the Khalistan issue creates a major rift between India and the USA. But experts in China know that it is just wishful thinking. The Americans know that they can't win against China without India, and even from the big picture perspective, even if India attempts to eliminate its enemies anywhere in the world, there is not much force that the USA can use against India. They knew India's confidence to take on its enemies, no matter which corner of the world they are hiding, and its clear position to advance its interests has many admirers. As observed here, one of the admirers of this new India is Mr. Putin, who very recently in a clear message praised Modi in a way that could cause heartburn in some capitals, saying that no amount of intimidation or pressure can deflect Modi from his mission to advance India's interests. According to an article in this Russian media outlet, the fact that the India-USA 2+2 dialogue was held on schedule shows that the Pannun case will not have an impact on the India-US strategic partnership. Kanwal Sibal, a retired Indian foreign secretary and a former ambassador to Russia, mentions that the freedom of speech cannot be used to make terrorist threats and promote separatism in another country. According to Mr. Sibal, it is regrettable that American, British and Canadian agencies are working to give an international profile and respectability to terrorists like Pannun. He adds, the question therefore arises as to why these countries refuse to take any action against these elements on their own soil that target a friendly country with which they have a strategic partnership. The suspicion therefore is that these anti-India elements and the cause they espouse is being kept as a pressure point on India by the deep state. Yes, you heard that right. Sheltering anti-India elements or terrorists in these Western nations could be about a pressure point on India by the deep state. The former ambassador to Russia also highlights that while the US has been publicly asking New Delhi to cooperate with Ottawa in its investigation of the Nijar case, it has never asked Canada to cooperate with India to address India's concerns about extremist and terrorist elements that operate on Canadian soil. He also adds, while Washington is raising the Pannun case with India, it has never explained why they are giving free rein to individuals who have been declared terrorists by India under its laws. Some in India believe Pannun is a CIA agent. But despite all odds, it seems that in order to protect itself from terrorist and security threats, India is ready to take on the USA if and when required. As observed by Brahmachalani, the increasing activities of Sikh militants against India from US soil came up prominently in the discussions with the FBI director in New Delhi. As India is concerned over the lack of FBI action against those who are making terrorist threats or attacking Indian diplomatic missions. The Western colonial criminal states are playing with fire, but in the long term, it is likely to hurt them. As observed here, if the US is serious about dealing with the China challenge, it is time to put the Khalistani issue to rest, address India's concerns, and ensure this doesn't jeopardize the progress achieved in recent years. As posted by the Indian geostrategist Brahmachalani, imagine if an India-based militant designated by the US as a terrorist were to make terror threats against the US Congress, an American airline, and a major American airport without India seeking to hold him to account. How would the US react? Yet, the FBI has continued to turn a blind eye to the terrorism-glorifying activities of the New York-based Pannun wanted in India on terror charges. So, what is the problem between India and the USA then? According to Dr. Singh, the problem with the US-India relationship is that the United States has been behaving like a schizophrenic, declining power, unable to come to terms with the loss of its global supremacy. India, on the other hand, welcomes a multipolar world with several power centers and a plurality of civilizations. The colonial criminal state has accumulated power, wealth, and the numero uno position through its nefarious designs. It just doesn't know how to compete with other nations in a fair and just environment. It needs its neo-colonial designs in its desperate attempt to maintain its global supremacy. Pannun is just a small part of that game. See you again.